What's up guys, Jared here, and today we're going to be taking a quick look at easily one of the most anticipated anime figures of the year, the new SH Figuarts One Piece Gear 5 Luffy. So, this is going to be a really interesting figure. I've been looking forward to it for a while, so without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright guys, we're going to go ahead and go through the articulation of the Gear 5 Luffy. So, the articulation is going to be a little weird here because there is some interesting things, as you know. You've probably all seen before, but let's start with the standard stuff. Your head is on a double dumbbell, I believe, at the top and at the bottom. So you can get quite a bit of range out of that. You can look up about that far, look down about that far. That's great. The shoulders are just as what we saw before with the Luffy. We've got like a double dumbbell in there that works mostly pretty good. The cloth pieces kind of get in the way a little bit, but not significantly. Down to the torso, he's got I believe it's also another dumbbell peg in there, because this is a floating piece in the middle. So you can get some pretty decent range out of that. That's about as far down as he can go. It's about as far back. I did take off the sash just for the articulation because it gets in the way a little bit. His wrists are the standard ball hinge and swivel, so that's nice. Legs are, well, I thought they were like, are these different from the first release? I'm going to have to go back and compare. But they have this weird piece here that kind of gets in the way. I'm not a big fan of, but they go about that far back, that far forward. This gets in the way a little bit, but not a ton. I mean, he can kick his leg up pretty far. And one thing I wanted to show off here is I think they actually fixed these finally. If you remember on that first release, these were just static pieces that didn't move. Now they move a little bit to account for his legs going back. So that's cool. Down to the ankles, it's just your standard ankle hinge. Goes about that far up, that far back, and you get a pivot out of it. So, oh, you also get a hinge here for his effects. Cool. So let's talk about the weird shit. So he does have rubber limbs. So you're gonna get about that far. When it comes to the shorter limbs do not work quite as great. They do work, as you can see, but just not as well. And I think it's mostly because of this here. Because let me show you here's the long extended arm. And this works great. This works awesome. I mean, look at that. So I think it's because there's no texture here. This is kind of higher up here. But it kind of gets in the way of it from going like fully down, as you can see. So I think that's the big thing there. But yeah, the rubber limbs, the long ones, are awesome. These work great. I'm actually amazed by how great they work. And going down to the legs, they are also the hinge we saw. Another thing I've noticed is the ball, the peg in there is very stiff in these. I think I'm actually going to need to like heat it up to get it to move, unfortunately. But as you can see, these do work pretty decent, but you're probably not going to get better than 90 degrees like we see there. So that's the articulation here. Let's talk about it. There's a couple things I really like, couple things I don't. I'm really afraid of the longevity of these pieces, because you probably can't see it here, but you can kind of see that like white powdery starting to happen. To me, that looks like that might over time rip maybe in there if you leave it posed for too long. I really wish they had given us a set of regular limbs from the first Luffy and then kept the stretched ones bendy. That to me would have been great. Would have held up a lot better long term. This is what they went with. But let's talk about the aesthetic overall. I do think it looks pretty good. Let's get a sash in here for the complete look, of course. I do think it looks good. The white is very nice. His aura, or whatever you call this here. One thing I'm not a big fan of is very heavy. Sometimes it holds itself, sometimes it don't. But I think like the face sculpt, oh, that looks amazing. They did a fantastic job with that head. He looks great. The rest of the body looks pretty good too. I'm not a huge fan of what they did here, because you can tuck it in. You can actually tuck these plastic pieces in so it looks a little better. But in terms of articulation, you can tuck them out and then you get better range of movement. So it's kind of a weird give and take there. But let's talk about the accessories. I think his aesthetic overall is very good. I think they did a great job with like these smoke effects. I think they get in the way a little bit and they could be a little bit better. I mean, as you can see, you gotta like find that sweet spot. Like right up there is where it holds for me. So obviously you get his two alternate arms, which are perfect effect for Luffy. I really wish they gave us these in the original release though. Gosh, it's just a perfect effect. You get some extra face sculpts. I love this head. It's got so much detail, so much personality. I absolutely love it. It's amazing. This is an amazing accessory to have. You also get this sculpt, which is really great too. You can recreate some scenes from the Kaido fight. That's awesome. You get, of course, his like Joy Boy face, where he's laughing, he's having a good old time. And you do get another sculpt for Luffy that I just don't have right here on hand. I will put up a picture of it right here. And you do get one last Gear 5 sculpt where he's not looking happy. But yeah, the face sculpts all around look amazing. You do get, of course, you get a set of fist hands, a set of calm hands like these, and a set of splayed hands like these. And you also get a pair of gripping hands. And specifically, these are for the lightning bolt accessory. This comes in two pieces in this nice clear plastic that you just peg in super easily. But what you can do with this holding hand is you just put it there, peg the other piece in, and voila. And that's a pretty darn good accessory. That looks nice. Like how they did that. So overall, on the accessories, pretty good. So let's talk about the overall feeling of this figure. I want to love this figure, but I can't for a few reasons. I'm worried about these regular bendy limbs over time. Not really worried about these. But I think for the price of, I forget if it's $80 or $90, we should have just gotten an extra set of limbs. I mean, they already had them with the original Luffy. So I think it would have just made more sense to give us those. And you know they're going to do it eventually. You know they'll do a Gear 5 re-release with those extra limbs that we've all wanted. But it's just a matter of money. And I guess you could say they're gauging to see how much people really want these One Piece figures. Which obviously we want them. Obviously, we keep buying them. So I think the price is definitely too high. But the accessories are fantastic. He looks really great overall. I'm going to put up some pictures now while I'm talking. I want to like this figure a lot more than I do. But there's some things holding it back. And I am really worried about these limbs over time. I'm not sure how well they're going to hold up. They might be okay. They might not. If anything, I would just say try to not put them in super dynamic poses and leave them there over time. Just save that for like pictures, or maybe the long limbs should be okay. But already, like, the hinges are very tight in these rubber limbs, so I worry about that. And Yeah, it's just something you need to keep in mind with the longer, like the brain fart. Sorry. It's something to keep in mind when you talk about a high-end collectible is the lifespan of it, you know, because everything ages, but generally things like rubbery like this don't do well over time. But we'll see. Maybe Bandai figured it out. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt here and say they did. Overall, I'm going to give this Luffy a very generous 8 out of 10. I think it's closer to a 7 than a 9. You could definitely say it's a 7 out of 10, and that's fine. Some things I would have improved on this would be cloth jacket would be great, cloth sash would be nice, an extra set of limbs, and then maybe some more effect parts, you know, but the effect parts we get here are really cool. So, but that's it for me, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Is this the best One Piece figure we've gotten so far? How high is the bar here? You know, let me know down in the description below, and I will see you guys next time.